Here in the studio, we have some very special activists that are working on behalf of the Bear River flowing free. We have Dianna Suarez, Marin, Lipowitz, and Nicole Raglin here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's lovely to have all three of you here, and I've loved meeting you when I've shown up at the meetings, and I think you guys are all just bright lights for Mother Earth, you know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we're here to talk about the Bear River and the proposed Centennial Dam, which is not a done deal yet. So let's start by introducing you each briefly, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead, Nicole.
Nicole Raglin, and I live in Grass Valley.
Dianna Suarez, and I'm a resident of Colfax, California, along the Bear River.
Marin, Lipowitz, Grass Valley.
Welcome. So tell us about the Bear River. Where is the Bear River?
The Bear River is 73 miles at its trunk. It starts in a meadow up off of Bowman Road in Bear Valley, off Highway 20, before it runs into Interstate 80. And then it flows down between the Yuba River drainage and the American River drainage. It goes through a series of tunnels and bypasses and reservoirs and hydro stations, and it finally crosses 174 at the Bear River Bridge and flows on down through Combi and out through Auburn. You cross the Bear River again on Highway 49, and then it goes on out through Camp Far West, and it goes into the Feather River and into the Sacramento River down into the Delta.
It also crosses at Dog Bar, correct?
Yes.
Right, Dog Bar and
Dog
that
Bar
whole
Road.
area. Mm-hmm.
It's 73 miles of
Wow.
living water.
How many reservoirs are already on that stretch?
There's 4. There's Rollins, Combi, Camp Far West, and then up on Magnolia Creek is Lake of the Pines.
Oh, I didn't know that Combi and Lake of the Pines were different.
Yeah. Combi,
Oh.
well, the reason is nobody can get to Combi unless you have private land abutting Combi. They've blocked off Combi Road, and when they made that reservoir, they cut people off from the river, especially the indigenous people who their life was along that river. They flooded that one. They flooded Rollins. And this 7 miles is only 10% of the trunk of the Bear River. It's all that's left that the public can access. There's river below Combi through Auburn to Camp Far West, but it's all bordered with private land, just like Combi, and not accessible to the public. This is the last public access, the last chance that we can get to our river.
Wow, that's just, it's such a beautiful area. I've been there many times and kayaked down it and done some hiking, et cetera, and seen people camping there and recreating, relaxing. Such a good place. So what part of the Bear would be inundated by the proposed Centennial Dam? And by the way, who's proposing this dam?
Nevada Irrigation District. They're a special district accountable to the public. Their money, and they run themselves through property taxes and the ratepayers' money. So they're our district. It's our water. It belongs to the people.
The property taxes that we pay go to NID, partly?
Yes, part of it,
Wow,
yeah.
okay. And so which part would be inundated by the proposed Centennial Dam?
It's the part that flows between Rollins Reservoir and Combi Reservoir. The last publicly accessible, free-flowing part of the Bear River.
I noticed when I was reviewing some maps before the show, it looks to me like, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks to me like where they're going to build the dam is just within a striking distance of Lake Combi. Is that true?
Yes, there would be no river left. They claim there'll be a mile or two below the 174 bridge, but that's not enough for a river to maintain its ecosystem, its living ecosystem.
And on one of the maps I looked at, there was a Parker Dam reference. Is that the same thing?
Back in 1926, the engineers went along the Bear River and picked every spot where they could put a dam. And they put a dam in every spot but this one. And they're going back to 1926 for their planning. They value the history. However, they need to get with the present. They're using a 19th century, 20th century solution to a 21st century issue.
Mm-hmm. And how close would the proposed reservoir be to Rollins?
Well, when it's full, it'd be about a mile below Rollins.
So basically, it's going to be like reservoir, reservoir, reservoir.
Yes,
Mhm.
there's a total lack of diversity when you do that, and it's highly impactful on the living ecosystem.
For sure. And so, what is the purpose of this proposed dam project?
I don't want to take up all the time.
No,
Go, Nicole.
There's been so many stories about the reason why, and we're told that water won't be sold to the south, and that question is dodged and never really answered specifically. But we aren't using all of the water that we have now, so we aren't in a crisis. There are alternatives that can be made before we hit a dire point. So it really seems that it's possibly money.
Hmm. I read on one of the websites also that I was reviewing that this water project would benefit the American River, the Valley Delta Project, the Oroville water quality or quantity, etc. So this is not in our area. These are out of the area motives.
There was a study done by it's Association of California Water Agencies. They did a study, and there's a way to get the Bear River water over to Folsom. And so it exposed all that. The board, the NID district contributed to the study, but when it came out, the board didn't want people to see that they were looking at sending our water down south. But that's a card they hold in their hand that they keep pretty close to their chest.
And so you three have been attending the NID meetings for some time. Is that right?
Yes, we're pretty vigilant about attending every meeting. Just being there really does a lot.
I think it does too. And I've enjoyed when I've shown up there, and I know that you guys are like the three stalwarts. I always see you there along with Carmen, so that's awesome. And another time we're going to see if we can get Nancy Weber, Scott Miller, and Nick Wilcox or any of the NID people in here, and we're going to have like a forum, so look forward to that.
That will be interesting.
Yeah. I wasn't up for that this morning. And so how much money has been spent so far on this project?
Over $11 million has been spent. 5.4 million has been spent buying up property in the Bear River drainage, even though there's no environmental document, no feasibility study, and no real assurance that this project will go forward. And so the land that has been purchased is public land, and it may provide access for the Nevada County residents to our beautiful Bear River. I think the discrepancy in value that the people in Placer County place on the river is that we've had beautiful access to the river and appreciate it. All along the Nevada County side, there's been private land, and the public has been mostly focused on the Yuba River because the access to the Bear has been non-existent. With this huge purchases of private land with public money by NID, this opens up the whole western side of the Bear River along Nevada County for the residents of Nevada County to build trails and access this river. There's a lot of kayaking, swimming, tubing, fishing. There's so much wonderful recreational opportunities along the Bear, and I'm real happy to see Nevada County getting this public land and this access to our river.
So how would someone go and visit some of those access points? I want to go.
Here I go again. There's a map of the properties that have been purchased by NID. It's on the California Water Commission website under the WSIP projects. And if you go into the figures, you can find the map. But or you can go to the NID office and ask them for a property map, a project level property map for the Bear River, and it will expose all the properties that NID has bought. They're renting some of those properties to the people that used to live there and lost their homes, but sold to NID. However, it is public land with public money.
So one could go right into the NID office and ask for the project level property map
For the Centennial Reservoir.
for the
yes.
Centennial Reservoir, and then go for a hike and see some new places that
Yeah,
they
and there'll
haven't
be a
seen.
lot of discussion about that. It's not, NID doesn't want people to know. They want to treat that land as private land and not have access. However, with the failure of the Centennial Dam, this land becomes public land.
Nice.
Also,
Get right close to the mic, Nicole.
Also, a great deal of the money was spent on doing studies and research, and they just proposed a rate increase to their customers while they're spending money on a project that shouldn't be happening in the first place.
They're also raising their recreational fees at all their facilities.
I heard that at the last meeting. It's going to
Yeah.
be $35 to camp or something like that.
Right.
So NID, do they also keep a secret or kind of keep it under wraps as far as like publishing where the ditches are that people can go walking? Because I haven't seen I think those are kind of, you have to find out from someone else. You can't really go online and figure out where the ditches are. Is that true?
Oh, years ago, I accessed a map of NID ditches
Oh,
because
good.
I like hiking along them, and it is accessible somewhere. I don't remember. It was quite a while ago that I got the map, but I did.
I know for me, moving here 17 or 18 years ago, it was like, oh, wow, this little treasure of all these cool places you can go walking off the road, and it's kind of flat, and take a dog and enjoy the running water.
I would like to warn everyone, however, that NID has been spraying Roundup along their ditches for quite some time. There's currently, because of the higher scrutiny that NID is getting because of their big plans for the Centennial, they're getting a scrutiny on transparency where they've had to start live streaming their meetings, which is a big change for them. And people are looking at their herbicide and algicide programs. And they're working now, but unfortunately it's a secret committee, but they're working to stop their use of Roundup and algicide in their water and
Well,
the
and
canals.
also, wildlife doesn't know. Wildlife doesn't receive a notice not to drink out of the ditch.
My dog
when
drinks
there's-
out of the ditch all the time. Yeah. So they are actually, they have a goal of getting rid of those herbicides.
That's what they say, and they have a meeting. However, it hasn't been open to public scrutiny, and that's something that needs to happen.
When is that particular meeting?
I don't know.
Who
It's
knows?
secret.
We don't know. It's secret.
Well, obviously we need to get NID here for the other side of the story. And Dianna, you were telling me something on the phone about the NEPA report and the CEQA reports that are due right now.
Well, it's a process, an environmental analysis process. The California Environmental Quality Act is the CEQA, and that's a state-level environmental analysis. The National Environmental Policy Act is the federal analysis. They started the CEQA first, and one of them produces an environmental impact report, and one of them produces an environmental impact statement. The CEQA has been delayed for a year. And the NEPA is ongoing, so we'll be looking for those next late fall or winter.
It does seem sort of out of order to spend $11 million and then get the environmental report.
Well, yes, and they haven't done an economic feasibility study. They're real up on the engineering report. They know exactly how they're going to build it, what kind of dam. They've drilled holes in the ground. They've blasted. They know about everything, except the permission and the environmental issues, the social issues. They're real good with the engineering end of it, and very lacking in all the rest of the world, the parts that we have to look at.
Right. So one of you tell us about the indigenous cultures and that influence along this stretch of the Bear River.
That would be Diana.
That would be Dianna.
It would.
I've been in the heart of this thing for a long time. The river has taken my heart, and I am acquainted with so many of the Nisinan people who've lost everything, and this is the last of it. There's a piece of private land along the river where a woman lets the local Nisinan go down and do their ceremonies, but that too will be inundated. So this is it for them. And there's been many massacres along this river. They were documented in a book, American Genocide, The California Catastrophe by Benjamin Madley. And that specifically identifies with historical documents the massacres that went on along Bear River and Deer Creek and a lot of other places here in this land. People were massacred, burned, their heads chopped off and taken down to Sacramento for bounty. It's unconscionable what has occurred on this land that we live on. And I think it's time for a reckoning and for people to take a deep breath and take a good look at what's going on around us. And the Nisenan have been chased out of Colfax. They can't afford it. They want to come back and live around where we are, and some of them still do. They've married into other families, and it's just a tragedy.
And the Nisenan were once a federally recognized tribe, and they were illegally stripped of that federal recognition, and that was strictly over land, I believe.
When did that happen, Nicole?
I believe that was in the 60s. Is that
Yes,
correct, Dianna?
in the 50s.
64, I believe.
Oh. It was the Termination Act, and then a whole lot of tribes got recognized. Unfortunately, our local tribes did not.
And they are working towards that, I believe.
They've been working toward federal recognition for a really long time. It's very difficult, and many of the natives say, we know who we are. We don't need the United States to recognize who we are.
Right. And you were mentioning also something about all the big trees that are along there. You called it the Bear River Avenue of the Giants.
I created a little booklet. I was walking out there. I walk out there a lot, and I saw these great big canyon live oaks. So I took a tape out there and measured them 5 feet diameter at the base, over 300 years old. I made a book of all of them, and there's many more. These are just the ones I could get to from the trails. Also, several old-growth ponderosa pine and Doug fir trees over 50 inches in diameter, 48 inches, 500 to 700 years old. These trees have occupied the space, and they've watched the different landscapes change. And the Nisenan people, when they lived there, these trees were there. And they saw them get massacred, and they've seen these new people come, and now they face their own ecocide.
Well, to me, it's the benefits of being in nature just seems so obvious and overwhelming, just like the way you can take yourself out for a walk and your whole state of mind eases and changes because of something you can't even explain. Because it's nature just doing her magic, calming down the person, making you feel integrated with everything else that's out there. And I just can't imagine wanting to do harm to that.
It's part of the beauty of our area and where we live. When you go to a city, you're inundated with noise and you feel that energy. And here you step outside your house and it's a very different situation. You're at peace as opposed to, abrasive energy coming at you. It's calming, definitely. And
Yeah, it really is.
They're trying to destroy that.
I call it vitamin N.
What does that mean? Nature. Huh?
Nature.
Right on. Yeah, just the other day we walked to Hoyt's and it was a cold day. There was a little bit of sun, and we ended up just hugging on the river bank, fully clothed. It was really cold with the dog and the husband, and it was so beautiful. It was just like a beautiful thing to do. Listen to the water and watch the dog playing, and it's just a beautiful thing to do with your day. So we hope that the Bear River Canyon can be preserved. That's what I hope. And the views and opinions expressed here are those of the speakers only, not those of KVMR, its board, management, or sponsors. They're the views of the people that are talking right now. And I'm glad to have them talking. So
Can I say one more
please,
thing?
please, we're not done.
Oh, good. www.savebearriver.com, and also damwatchdog.org. That's Circle. We've gotten wonderful support from our friends at the South Yuba River Citizens League because it's one river and one water on this planet.
What is happening over at Circle in regards to the Centennial Dam?
Well, the Wild and Scenic Film Festival is coming up, and the Dam Watchdog and that initiative will be a big presence there.
Is the Dam Watchdog's name that Circle has come up with? Or is that...
Yes, and they've done an incredible job. They've been watching NID, and because NID tries to hide things, they tried to hide this application for extra funding to the California Water Commission in a consent agenda. So that's one you don't talk about, you just pass it, and the dam watchdogs found it out. They had to bring this up, and then we all became aware that they were putting in for Proposition 1 money to the California Water Commission, and we pursued that campaign and to tell the commissioners that no, this project is not worthy of our public money. It's destroying our natural heritage, it's destroying the environmental, and it's destroying recreation. They're claiming just the opposite. They're trying to make a case for yet another reservoir situation without rivers. We need rivers.
And that grant money is possibly tied to giving up some of our water rights, some of our local water rights.
That's true too. They
It's-
may be required to sell our water down
It
south.
seemed like that was part of the agreement.
Yeah, that was another sleight of hand issue going on. That's why we need the dam watchdogs. They're doing a heck of a job, very good job. And the letter writing campaign that Circle is initiating at the Wild and Scenic Film Festival is a letter to the California Water Commission to tell them not to support building a dam on the last of the Bear River. The fact is the capacity of the entire NID district will be replicated on the Bear River. They're trying to store the same amount of water on this one little river that they've got in their whole system. It's wrong, and it's actually against the people that live over there. We're being used as a sacrifice zone because we can't vote for the NID board. We have no vote, we have no voice, and they're putting it over where we are, 3 dams in a row. So anyway, Circle is standing up with us, and we are so grateful for Circle.
So back to what you were saying, Nicole, in terms of this state money that they're trying to get for, that NID is trying to get for this dam project, within the clause of accepting that money would be giving the water away to many other areas. Is that correct?
It appeared that that was the case. The question has been avoided at several NID meetings. It has been asked. Another group that has been a huge advocate is the Foothills Water Network, and they're a coalition of conservation and environmental groups. And they have also asked the question several times, are we going to lose water rights if we accept this grant money?
If the listeners wanted to do something about this cause, what would be something that they could do?
Go to meetings.
When is the next NID meeting?
They're held on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month at the NID offices on West Main Street, 9 a.m. And often we will gather out on the road on West Main Street with signs and advocate for the river.
So the second Wednesday in January would be January 10th at 9 a.m. at the NID office, and that's on West Main near the graveyard, right next to the graveyard there
In Grass Valley.
in Grass Valley.
Right.
So if anyone would like to attend, that's a good way to let NID know that we're watching what they're doing.
And another way is to sign at the Wild and Scenic Film Festival. We'll have lots of outreach booths to come to the outreach booth and sign a letter. We'll send it to the California Water Commission for you.
Okay. Is there a particular film on this issue at the festival that you guys know about?
There was a film previously. I don't know about this year. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, Voice of the Bear River showed last year, and I believe there will be a film this year that'll play as a trailer
That's
at some of
great.
the things.
And Voice of the Bear River's online?
Yes, it's at the Circle website. They have a whole video collection. There's lots of information to be had at the Circle website and at SaveBearRiver.com.
And the Circle website would be SYRCL, Save Yuba River Citizens League, correct?
Yeah.
South Yuba River Citizens,
Citizens
League.
League.
Right.
Or just go to damwatchdog.org.
There we
It's
go.
a way that gets in there as well.
And there's also a Save Bear River Facebook page, correct?
Oh yes, and there's Friends of Bear River Facebook page. There's a few Facebook pages, but the main one is Friends of Bear River.
So always a good thing to do, go down and take a walk by the Bear River or get in your kayak and float down. I'd like to do that with 3 of you. We should do that for a counterpoint to all the sitting in the meetings activity.
Yes, for sure, because it does take a special person to go to the meetings and sit when you're have to listen to how they're going to cut down all the trees and dredge everything up. It's hard to take.
Yeah.
But then I go to the river and it fills my soul back up and makes my heart strong.
That's right. For me, I felt as though after the last big election in this country, one of the things I heard was pick one cause that you care the most about and focus on that. And so I thought, well, for me, it's the environment of our whole world. And I heard about the Bear River cause, and so I just decided I'm gonna go to those meetings, and I'm gonna dedicate myself to this particular thing, because it seems as though this might be something we can actually affect.
We can come up with a beautiful park with access on both sides for the citizens of both Nevada and Placer counties. We can have a living riverine environment that's at its peak with the biological components in optimum condition.
Let's end on that note. That's a beautifully phrased sentence, Dianna. I always like listening to you talk, and you're very knowledgeable. And I thank you, Nicole, Marin, and Dianna, for coming in to KVMR today.